Okay, we're looking at the answers to the Unit 1 exam today. So on the left side of my screen, you can see we've got the actual test, and on the right side, I have the answer key that I made up. So the first question says, what is the equation of the axis of symmetry of y equals -3 times x plus 6 squared plus 12? And because this problem is in vertex form, and vertex form basically tells you the vertex, you should know that the axis of symmetry is the x part of the vertex, which is the h value, which is hidden inside the parentheses right here. The format says x minus h, so the only way this could be x minus something is if it's x minus -6, which tells us that our answer is B, -6. Question 2 says the related graph of a quadratic equation is shown below. Use the graph to determine the solutions of the equation. So here we're just finding where does the graph cross the x-axis. It happens at 2 and -3. So our answer is C, -3 and 2. Question 3. The quadratic function f of x equals x squared has how many zeros? I'm going to pull up a graph on the right side of my window here. And type the equation x squared. You can see here in this window, it crosses the x-axis one time, so it has 1 0. Go back over here, it has exactly 1 0. The answer is B, number 3. Okay, moving on to number 4. Number 4 says, use the value of the discriminant to determine the number and type of roots for each equation to answer the following questions. We have an equation in standard form. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. I did some work over here. You can see that I plugged in the values. I got -19. And from the notes, if you get a negative value on the discriminant, it means you have 2 complex roots. So our answer for number 4 is A. Question 5, we have to graph x squared minus 4x plus 3. Make sure we label the y-intercept, the vertex, and the axis of symmetry. So for number 5, the easiest part is the y-intercept. It's just 0, c, and the c value is 3. The vertex is -b over 2a, comma, f of -b over 2a. So I did -b over 2a, and I got 2. So then I plugged 2 in over here on the side. When I plug 2 in, I get the value -1. So my vertex is 2, -1, which means the axis of symmetry is x equals 2, because they're always the same number, these x parts. And then I graphed the equation, and I made sure I labeled the 3 things. So the vertex is at 2, -1. It crosses the x-axis at 1 and 3. The y-intercept is 0, 3. My axis of symmetry is x equals 2. Make sure that the points are symmetric on each side of the axis of symmetry. Otherwise, you didn't graph it correctly. So this is what number 5 should look like, and you need to make sure you have told me the y-intercept, the vertex, and the axis of symmetry. Question 6 says to determine whether f of x equals 5x squared minus 20x plus 3 has a maximum or a minimum value, and then find the value. So the first thing you look at is the sign of A. Because A is positive, it's greater than 0, that means the graph faces up, which means it has a minimum. The vertex is a minimum. The minimum value happens at the vertex, so you have to find the vertex. Start off by doing -b over 2a. You're going to get the number 2. You plug 2 in the equation, you get -17. The minimum value that you get is -17. The graph has a minimum, the value is -17. Number 7, the length of a rectangle is 10 inches longer than its width. If the area of the rectangle is 144 square inches, what are the dimensions? So you can see over here, I set up a rectangle. I don't know the width, I call it W. I know the length is 10 inches more than the width, so you label it W plus 10. You know the area of a rectangle is length times width, so you're going to do the length, W plus 10, times the width, W. It's going to equal 144. You distribute, you bring everything to one side, so you have W squared plus 10W minus 144 equals 0. We're going to factor that. The 2 numbers I found that multiply to be -144 that add to 10 are -8 and 18. So I get 2 possible answers of -18 and +8. I have to use positive 8 since my width is positive. I plug 8 back in, so here it's 8, here it's 8 plus 10. 8 plus 10 is obviously 18. You can see that work here. And I said the width of the rectangle is 8 inches and the length is 18 inches. Number 8. In an AC circuit, the voltage E, the current I, and the impedance Z are related by the formula E equals I times Z. Find the impedance in a circuit with a voltage 12 plus 2J volts and a current 3 plus 5J amps. So I'm finding impedance. Impedance is Z. That means I need to get Z by itself in the equation. To do that, I'm going to have to divide both sides by the I, the current, 3 plus 5J. When I do that, I get 12 plus 2J over 3 plus 5J. In order to simplify a complex number, you have to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate of 3 plus 5J is 3 minus 5J. You do that on the top and bottom. And then you FOIL the top, 12 plus 2J times 3 minus 5J. And you FOIL the bottom, 3 plus 5J times 3 minus 5J. You're going to simplify everything. Once you do, you get 46 over 34 minus 54 over 34J. Each of these numbers you can divide by 2. The final answer is 23 over 17 minus 27J over 17. And your units of impedance are ohms. So I make sure I said ohms. Question 9. Write a quadratic equation with -4 and 3 over 2 as the roots. Write the equation in standard form, where A, B, and C are integers. Integers means they got to be whole numbers. Can't have fractions. So the format for this, you're going to set up your equation with x minus and then the root. So x minus -4 and x minus 3/2. Two negatives makes a positive. I don't like this fraction here. I don't like dividing by 2, so I'm going to multiply each side of the equation by 2. I'm going to distribute this 2. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 3/2 is just 3. I have x plus 4 times 2x minus 3. I FOIL it. When you FOIL it, you get 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. That's your equation. Number 10. Find the exact solutions to 2x squared equals 9x minus 5 using the quadratic formula. First step, put everything on one side. You can see over here, I bring the 9x to the left, it became negative. I brought the -5 to the left, it became positive. You dump everything in the quadratic formula, you simplify, and you will get 9 plus or minus square root of 41, the whole thing divided by 4. Those are your two solutions. Number 11. Find the value of the discriminant, then describe the number and type of roots. Again, first thing, bring everything to one side. Bring the 2x over, it's going to become negative. 10x minus 2x is 8x over here in the answer key. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. I plug my values in, I get -8. Whenever the discriminant's negative, it means you have two complex roots. Question 12. Identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction of opening for y equals negative times x minus 6 squared minus 5. This is vertex form. That means they told you the vertex. The vertex is 6, -5. It's h, comma k. Therefore, the axis of symmetry is 6, x equals 6, because these are always going to be the same number. The direction of opening, the way that you figure that out is from the a value. The a value is in front of the parentheses, which is -1. Because it's negative, the direction of opening is down. This graph faces downwards. Question 13. Write an equation for the parabola with a vertex at -4, 2 and a y-intercept of -2. What you're going to do with this is set up the formula of vertex form, and we're going to plug in the values we know. So we know the vertex is h and k, -4 and 2. And the other point, the y-intercept -2, is the point 0, -2. Those are an x and a y value. So you plug them in for x and y. When you do that, you get this second line. You're going to simplify it. You're going to end up with a equals -1/4. Once you know a, you take the a value and the vertex numbers, plug them in the formula, and you get this equation. -1/4 times x plus 4 quantity squared plus 2. Question 14. The height of a certain rocket t seconds after it leaves the ground is modeled by this equation. Write the function in vertex form and find the maximum height. The way you put something in vertex form is by completing the square. So you can see over here that I essentially found the vertex. Finding the vertex is another way that you can put something in vertex form. So I did negative b over 2a. I got the number 2. I plugged it back in. I did f of 2. When I plugged it in, I got 76. So my vertex is 2, 76. The a value is the same, whether you're in standard or vertex form. So I just picked off the negative 16, put it in the formula, negative 16 times x minus 2 squared plus 76. That's my formula. And the maximum height is the number you get when you plug in the vertex, the x part of the vertex. You got 76, so the maximum height is 76 feet. SAT questions. Number 1, you need to find the sum of these two complex numbers. You're adding 7 and negative 2 makes 5. Negative 3i and positive 7i makes 4i. Your answer is 5 plus 4i. Number 2, the sum of all the values that satisfy this equation. So first you need to find the values that satisfy this equation, and then you need to find the sum, add them together. So to find these values, I used over here the quadratic formula. I got the numbers, when you simplify, 1 plus or minus I root 6 over 2. So I wrote those two numbers out, 1 plus I root 6 over 2 and 1 minus I root 6 over 2, and I added them together. The nice thing about this is when you find the sum of these things, the answer is really simple because this term and this term, one's positive, one's negative, they cancel out. This is just 1 plus 1, and the sum is 2. Third question. We've got this equation. We need to find the value of b. So we're going to distribute the 2x to each of these terms. We're going to distribute the 3 to each of these terms. We're going to simplify. We're going to combine our like terms, and we're going to talk about what b is. You can see I did that over here. When I distributed 2x, I got 6x squared plus 10x. When I distributed the 3, I got 9x plus 15. I combined my like terms, 10x and 9x, and I got 19x. So b is 19. Okay, PARCC question. First one, which quadratic equation has non-real roots? Non-real means imaginary. To find imaginary roots, it's really easy to just do the discriminant and see which answer gives you a discriminant that is negative. That's b squared minus 4ac. I'm looking for when that is less than 0. This is a typo right here. It's supposed to just be c. C is the answer. If you do b squared, negative 4 squared, you get 16. 4 times 1 times 5 is 20. 16 minus 20 is negative. So the answer is C. It's not D. Let me show you why. B squared, if I square 5, I get 25. 4 times 1 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. It's not less than 0. It's not D. It's only C. This last question is really long. We're going to do that in another video.